Remember when Saturday shopping meant piling into the station wagon and heading to Woolco for school clothes, stopping at the snack bar for fries? There was a time in Canada when retail wasn't about tapping your phone or scrolling Amazon. It was about those distinctive plastic shopping bags, paper flyers stuffed in the mailbox, and the smell of popcorn mixing with floor wax in sprawling discount stores. Today we're talking about 10 lost Canadian retail stores only true Canadians remember. Shopright. Pull out an old Shopright catalog, pages curled at the corners. Flip past cheap stereos, microwaves, watches that seemed fancy at the time. This was Ontario's answer to catalog shopping in the 70s and early 80s. Shopright was a catalog store chain where customers didn't browse shelves. You circled items in a book, filled out an order slip, rang a bell, and staff brought your goods from the warehouse. It started with 4 stores in London, Ontario, and grew to about 65 locations across the province under Hudson's Bay Company. For small-town families, this was the affordable Sears. You could get a blender, a cassette deck, and Christmas toys without needing a full department store. It felt high-tech back then. No wandering aisles, just a desk, a display case, and mysterious shelves in the back where boxes rolled out on conveyors. Picture mom filling out order slips while kids pressed their faces to the glass, watching packages emerge. Saturday stops sandwiched between the bank and grabbing Timbits. The whole transaction had this efficient, almost futuristic feel. Circle, order, wait, receive. But Shopright faced brutal competition from consumers distributing, which had far more stores and higher sales per location. The early rise of big box department stores didn't help either. By 1982, Shopright was losing millions annually. Hudson's Bay Company made the call, shut it down rather than expand beyond Ontario. The catalog dream ended, and those order desks went silent. Miracle Mart. Look at that bright red M price tag stuck to an old toy truck. That's Miracle Mart history right there. Miracle Mart, later rebranded simply as M, was a discount department store chain founded in 1961 by Montreal grocery giant Steinberg. Locations stretched across Quebec and Ontario, usually attached to busy malls. It tried to be everything under one roof: food, fashion, housewares, electronics. For Montreal and Ottawa families, Miracle Mart was the one-stop spot for school clothes, cheap records, and kitchen gadgets. It had that slightly chaotic, fluorescent buzzing vibe. Food on one side, housewares, and fashion on the other. The mix of French and English signage gave it a very Quebec feel. Remember a 1980s back-to-school run? Squeaky shopping carts, the smell of fresh popcorn, kids begging for a Walkman-style cassette player, parents comparing prices on 3-ring binders while fluorescent lights hummed overhead. It was hectic, crowded, and somehow comforting. But chronic underperformance plagued the chain. Stores struggled with pricing and merchandising against rivals like Zellers and Woolco. The rebrand to M in the mid-80s was supposed to modernize the image. It didn't work. As parent company, Steinberg ran into severe financial trouble and was dismantled in the early 90s. Miracle Mart went down with it. The last stores closed by 1992, and those red M signs came down for good. Pascal's an old Pascal's hex key or furniture instruction sheet pulled from a dusty toolbox. That's all some people have left of J. Pascal hardware and furniture. Founded in 1903, Pascal's was a Quebec institution that combined hardware with furniture showrooms. At its height, it ran about 26 stores across Quebec, Ontario, and New Brunswick. It was big box before big box was cool. Long aisles of power tools transitioning into mazes of living room sets and kitchen tables under bright lights. For decades, Pascal's was where families bought their first couch, dining set, and tool collection all on the same trip. Dad measuring a sofa with a tape measure while kids bounced on mattress displays. Mom comparing pots while someone on the PA called out a snowblower sale before the next storm hit. It felt massive in the 70s and 80s. Walking through Pascal's took time. You'd start in hammers and screwdrivers, wander through lawnmowers, and somehow end up testing recliners near the back exit. It was part hardware store, part furniture warehouse, part weekend adventure. But by the early 90s, Pascal's was drowning in debt. It owed over $50 million to about 1,400 creditors. The early 90s recession crushed it. Competition from specialized hardware chains and furniture stores ate into market share. Costly expansions backfired. In 1991, Pascal's entered receivership. The furniture arm tried to hang on but closed by 1994. Those massive showrooms emptied out, and the Pascal's name faded from highway signs. A Fields price sticker on kids' winter boots or a plastic lunchbox. If you recognize that logo, you're from the West. Fields Stores Limited started in 1950 in Vancouver and grew into a Western Canadian discount chain selling clothes, housewares, toys, and basic groceries. It expanded by buying up regional retailers and even controlled a stake in Zellers at one point before ending up under the Hudson's Bay umbrella. In small BC, Alberta, and prairie towns, Fields was the place to grab cheap socks, school supplies, and last-minute birthday gifts. It felt like a mini Zellers crossed with an early dollar store. Not fancy, not elegant, but reliable and affordable. Picture kids racing to the toy aisle while parents grabbed mittens and workwear in late October. Long drives into the nearest town, ending with a Fields stop and fries at a diner. Fields was practical. It didn't pretend to be anything else. Under HBC, Fields became the extreme value, small format chain. But it faced crushing pressure from Walmart, bigger Zellers locations, and later dollar stores. In 2011, HBC announced plans to shut all Fields stores. Most locations closed in 2012. A smaller successor chain survived under new ownership, but the big 80s and 90s network that many Canadians remember effectively disappeared. Those highway signs came down, and small towns lost a shopping landmark. Telling and preparing this video took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the video. Bargain Harold's, a crumpled yellow bargain, Harold's plastic bag, pulled from a box of childhood memories. Bargain Harold's was a discount variety chain founded in 1970 by Polish immigrant Harold Kamen, who opened his first store with just $2,400. It focused on low-priced household goods, clothing, and odds and ends, mainly around the Greater Toronto Area and Ontario. City kids remember strip malls where Bargain Harold's sat beside a bakery and a convenience store. It was the go-to for cheap toys, socks, and back-to-school odds. The place had organized chaos written all over it, boxes on the floor, bright sale signs, and that distinct smell of rubber, cardboard, and floor cleaner. Grandma taking the bus to stock up on dishcloths and Tupperware knockoffs. Kids digging through discount bins for knockoff transformers and sticker sheets, parents hunting for picture frames and kitchen gadgets at prices that didn't hurt the wallet. Bargain Harold's wasn't glamorous. It was functional, friendly, and reliably cheap. After fast growth, the chain changed hands. Kmart Canada owned it for a while. But by the late 80s, Bargain Harold's struggled against bigger discount rivals and economic downturns. By 1991, the chain's assets were being liquidated. Woolworth's The Bargain Shop scooped up many of its bankrupt locations, erasing the original banner from plazas across Ontario. The yellow bags disappeared, and Harold's dream faded into strip mall history. Saan, a faded Saan clothing tag inside an old flannel shirt or snowsuit. That logo brings back prairie memories. Saan stores, Splendid, began in Winnipeg in 1947, selling surplus clothing and goods from the Canadian Armed Forces. The name stood for Surplus Army, Air Force, Navy. It grew into a major discount chain with more than 350 stores by the late 90s, especially in smaller Western and Ontario communities. For small towns, Saan was the practical place. Work shirts, kids' snow pants, budget bedding, all under harsh fluorescent lights and creaky ceiling fans. It had a no-frills, almost military feel in the early days. Practical over fancy. Lots of durable basics. Prairie families doing winter gear runs. Can we get it all at Saan and be home before the game starts? Workers grabbing steel toe boots and coveralls on payday. Teenagers picking up cheap jeans and hoodies. Saan wasn't trendy. It was reliable, affordable, and everywhere in small-town Canada. By the 2000s, Saan was buried under about $80 million in debt. It couldn't keep up with Walmart, Superstore, and modernized competitors. It entered bankruptcy protection in 2004, closed many stores, and finally shut all remaining 126 locations in 2008. Many sites were taken over by the bargain shop, but the Saan brand disappeared from those highway signs. Small towns lost another retail anchor, and a prairie institution vanished. Woolco, a Woolco snack bar tray or a paper popcorn bag next to a photo of that big red W logo. If you remember Woolco, you remember a Saturday ritual. Woolco was the discount store arm of F.W. Woolworth, launching in the early 60s. In Canada, its big box stores anchored plazas and malls across the country. For families in the 70s and 80s, Woolco was where you got everything: records, bikes, cheap clothes, and the famous in-store cafeteria or snack bar. The layout is burned into memory: long aisles of clothing, electronics wall with TVs and stereos, toy section at the back, and that snack bar, fries, hot dogs, chocolate milk, the smell mixing with floor wax and shopping cart wheels on tile. Saturday mornings meant kids dragged through the clothing section with the promise of a snack bar treat if they behaved. Christmas toy runs, the sound of carts, the fluorescent buzz, the excitement of checking out new action figures. Woolco wasn't fancy, but it was everywhere, reliable, and comforting. In the early 90s, Woolco struggled with low profits and rising competition from new-style big boxes. In 1994, most Canadian Woolco stores, about 120 of them, were sold to Walmart. The deal instantly gave the American giant a massive foothold in Canada. The red W signs came down, Walmart signs went up, and just like that, a generation's shopping landmark disappeared, replaced by the world's biggest retailer. Simpsons. A Simpsons charge card or gift box with ribbon found in an old dresser drawer. That's class right there. The Robert Simpson Company, known as Simpsons and later Simpsons, was a classic Canadian department store dating back to the 1800s, with major flagships in Toronto and other cities. By the mid-20th century, it was one of the big three department stores, alongside Eaton's and the Bay. Its downtown Toronto store was a landmark: elaborate Christmas windows, formal service, everything from high fashion to appliances. It co-founded Simpsons Sears, later Sears Canada, helping bring catalog and suburban department store shopping to the whole country. Families piling into the car or GO train for a big city Christmas trip, lunch in the store restaurant, kids glued to the animated window displays, the upper floors where brides registered for china and crystal. Shopping at Simpsons wasn't just buying things. It was an occasion, a tradition, a touch of elegance. But in 1978, Hudson's Bay Company bought Simpsons. Over the 80s, the brand struggled with overlapping locations and changing tastes. Suburban malls grew, downtown shopping declined. By 1991, HBC folded Simpsons entirely. Some stores became the Bay, others were sold to Sears, and the Simpsons name quietly disappeared from storefronts. The elegant era of downtown department stores faded, and Simpsons became a memory preserved in old charge cards and faded photographs. Sears Canada. The Sears Christmas wish book dropped on the table with a heavy thud. Flip through those dog-eared toy pages and feel the nostalgia hit. Started in 1952 as Simpsons Sears, the company combined Toronto Simpsons with American Sears to reach Canadian mail-order and retail customers. It became Sears Canada in 1984. At its peak, it ran more than 100 department stores, plus a vast catalog and repair network. The Sears Wish Book was a holiday ritual. Kids circling toys with markers, teens eyeing stereos and clothes, parents planning Christmas budgets. That book was thick, glossy, and full of possibility. In malls, Sears was the solid, slightly no-nonsense anchor. Appliances, craftsman tools, sensible clothes, everything for setting up a household. Parents getting their first washer-dryer set delivered by the Sears truck. Kids sprinting through the tool section to reach video game displays. Teens shopping for prom dresses or grad suits. Sears was dependable, Canadian, and woven into family milestones. From the 2000s onward, Sears Canada was squeezed by Walmart, Costco, and online shopping. Leadership underinvested in store upgrades and digital transformation. After years of losses, it sought creditor protection in 2017 and began closing stores. By early 2018, the entire chain was liquidated. Empty mall anchors, canceled pensions. The wish book tradition ended, and a retail institution that shaped Canadian childhoods for decades disappeared into bankruptcy filings and memories. Kmart Canada. A Kmart Canada receipt, or a red and blue plastic toy, still with a Kmart price sticker. That logo meant American-style deals on Canadian soil. Kmart's Canadian roots go back to SS Kresge 5 and dime stores, which evolved into Kmart Canada by the 60s. Its discount department stores offered clothing, toys, housewares, and seasonal goods, often as mall or plaza anchors. For suburban families, Kmart felt like the American big box experience brought north. Blue light-style deals, big parking lots, cheap but cheerful merchandise. Kids remember back-to-school aisles full of backpacks and pencil cases, those long, echoey corridors of fluorescent light and shopping carts. A family road trip stop, fill up on gas, hit Kmart for snacks and last-minute camping gear. Teenagers buying their first cool t-shirt or cassette at Kmart instead of pricier mall boutiques. It was accessible, unpretentious, and everywhere. By the 90s, Kmart Canada was stuck between cheaper, American-style big boxes and homegrown rivals like Zellers and Walmart. In 1998, Hudson's Bay Company's Zellers division bought Kmart Canada. Many locations were converted to Zellers, some were closed, and the Kmart name was effectively erased from Canadian retail. The blue light deals went dark, and another discount chain faded into shopping history. If this trip down memory lane hit you right in the nostalgia, smash that like button and subscribe for more forgotten Canadian stories. We're digging up the brands, places, and traditions that shaped this country but slipped through the cracks. Got a memory to share? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who remembers these stores, send them this video. Let's keep these Canadian memories alive together.